Hey everyone, it's Rick Carson and we're at the beautiful Make Believe Studios, and today I want to tell you a story about one of the best parties that I ever went to in Los Angeles. So for a while, I had the opportunity to live with a wonderful artist and musician, songwriter, producer named Nolan Neal. Nolan Neal was mostly famous because he was a contestant on America's Got Talent and The Voice, and he did a cover of Elton John that went very, very far, and people really, really loved it. It had a moment for sure. I was living with Nolan and everything was cool, and I moved out and he continued to stay in the same house for a few months, and then we got wind that he was having a party. He invited us over to this party and he said, come on by, it's gonna be a good time. I decided to go with a friend of mine over to Nolan's, and we are there with maybe 100 other people, and there's this big party happening and people are inside, people are outside. Just a relatively good time when Nolan gets up on a chair and he says, hey everyone, I want to announce that I'm moving back to Nashville. And everybody at the party starts to boo, and someone from the crowd goes, when are you leaving? And he said, tonight. And he pointed to the side of his house where someone had dropped off 2 of those pod storage units for personal moving. And he said, everything in the house needs to go in the pods. So on your way out the door, grab something. Nothing was packed. People were grabbing individual pillows and lampshades, and they were walking them out the house as they were leaving. And the whole party moved Nolan out of Los Angeles around us. And in the midst of this happening, Nolan came up to me and he tapped me on the shoulder and he turned me around and he said, Michael, this is Rick. Rick, this is Michael, and you two should know each other. So I stuck my hand out and I said, Rick Carson, nice to meet you. And I was greeted by a friendly face that said, Michael Szymczyk, nice to meet you. And I looked at him and I never forget this. I said, Szymczyk, that's interesting. Are you related to a guy named Bill? And he said, yeah, my dad's name is Bill. And I said, did your dad make Hotel California? And his face lit up very big and bright, and he looked at me and he said, I've lived in Los Angeles for years and no one's ever made that connection. And we sat there on this couch as everything in this house was emptied out around us, talking for hours about the work that Bill had done in New York, making records with artists like B.B. King, and then going to Colorado and working with Joe Walsh, all the way down to Miami and working with the Eagles. And it was just a great conversation. And by the end of it, there was nothing left in the room, and me and Michael had to move the couch out to help Nolan. So we did, and we gave each other's phone numbers, and we moved on with the night. And we stayed in touch. Unfortunately, in 2020, Nolan passed away, and Michael and I ended up hopping on the phone just to catch up in general, and we had a nice conversation. And as we were hopping off the phone, I said to Michael, at this point, we're doing a lot of stuff in the software world, and if there's anything that your dad ever worked with that he wanted to work with again, please let me know. And about half an hour later, I got a text message from Michael that was a photo of a very strange looking console. And I instantly recognized it because there was a wonderful man named Lij Shaw who went on an absolute terror to protect home recording studios in the Nashville area and did a great job of saving them. So when I saw the console, I recognized it and I reached out to a couple of my friends who could put me in touch with Lij, and within that day, we were all on the phone talking about what it would take to be where we are right now. So over the past year and a half, we've really come so far from going to Nashville and working with the console and modeling it to going to Little Switzerland and meeting with Michael and Bill and their wonderful family and seeing, just the absolute incredible area that they've chosen to spend their lives in, and to being here today with you on my birthday, introducing MBSI, what I consider to be our most analog product yet. And don't get me wrong, we've done some very analog things, but something like the Sontec is analog in a different way. That thing is so pristine and so clean and so full of headroom. It doesn't ever come close to doing something like MBSI does. MBSI distorts and breathes and has a lot of interesting nooks and crannies as far as frequency response and shifts in phase that just give it an incredibly musical and interesting sound. And with Bill's help and with Michael's help and with Lidge's help, we've been able to take what was an original 1968 design and turn it into something even more modern and usable in today's current workflow. So we're very excited for you to hear this, and we're excited to hear your thoughts. A console that was used to make classic records by people like the Bee Gees, Grand Funk Railroad, Eric Clapton, and the Eagles. One of my favorite songs that was ever done on the console was Elvin Bishop's Fooled Around and Fell in Love, which was also produced by Bill Szymczyk. So I suggest you go and throw up Hotel California or How Deep Is Your Love or Fooled Around and Fell in Love and take in the absolute wonderful warmth that this console provided all of these songs. And you can see why it attracted producers like Bill to the room, and you can see why it attracted people to the music for generations. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.